The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
The NHL won tonight. They won the conversation. They won the attention of the sports watching public, and they did it while beating the NBA, which is even more rare than the NHL just winning. They did it while jumping ahead of another league. And we've seen the NHL do this before. We saw last June when the Edmonton Oilers were trying to come back from a 3-0 deficit in the Stanley Cup final against the Florida Panthers, and they pushed it to a Game 7, and we had the sport's greatest player in Connor McDavid in that game up against one of the best stars that the league has in Matthew Tkachuk, and it was Florida versus Edmonton, and it was huge, and everybody was watching that Game 7 in terms of the whole entire sports universe. But when we got it tonight, we got it in an instance when the NBA had a marquee event on television as well. We had the NHL. They had their Four Nations face-off tournament going on. USA is playing Canada. And we all know everything that has gone on with this USA-Canada game. The tensions that have arisen between Canada and the USA and the battles in the political sphere. And now they've translated into sports because sports are political. And the Canadian fans at the Bell Center are booing the national anthem every time it's played, the American one, that is. And this all culminated to Saturday night in the round robin part. And we might get a rematch in the championship game next week. But we had this game on Saturday night where we had everything going into it. And then it began with the booing of the anthem once again by the Canadian fans. And then the pop for the Canadian anthem. And then 9 seconds into the game, there were 3 fights. One off the opening draw, one off the second draw, and then one after a scrum in front. And the entire sports universe said, oh my gosh, wait, do we all love hockey? And they certainly did in that moment. It's the greatest sport we have in the world. And for that one moment tonight, everybody was tuned in. And as I said, they did it. They grabbed the attention of the watching public in an instance where the NBA was also putting on a marquee event. This is All-Star Weekend in the NBA. And Saturday night is the NBA's big marquee night of All-Star Weekend. That's when they have the skills competition, the three-point contest, and the dunk contest. And for years, people have been talking about how All-Star Weekend sucks for the NBA. And the NHL this year abandoned their All-Star Weekend because we all know All-Star Weekends suck. And instead, they have an exhibition match that in reality means nothing in terms of points or standings or anything. It's an exhibition game, but the NHL has created the Four Nations face-offs. They've created this thing that actually matters to us, the fans, and to the players on the ice, so much that we get 3 fights in 9 seconds. And this game mattered, and it was up against an exhibition where guys are not trying that hard in the skills competition. Victor Wembanyama and Chris Paul tried to hack it by missing all of their shots in the skills competition to power through a faster time. They had a repeat champion in the dunk contest who did a dunk that was done previously a decade ago where he jumped over a car and Mac McClung won again. Like, woo, the same guy's winning every year. And the NHL, in opposition to that, manufactured a situation where we have one of the biggest political hockey games of all time in Canada and the USA. And this is such a great win for the league and growing the sport. If you're a fan of hockey, you should be very happy with what happened tonight in terms of the interest from the public. This isn't a breakdown of the game. If that's you click this video and that's what you're looking for, Steve Dangle will handle that in the Steve Dangle's channel. Go watch that because Steve did a fantastic job streaming the game all night for the SDPN YouTube channel. And then he's going to turn the camera back on and make a reaction video for the Canada-USA game. So go watch that one if it's out now. And if it's not out, look out for it on his channel. But this is just about us hockey fans. We should be so proud of the product we put out there because it captures the attention of the casual sports fan. We saw JJ Watt tweeting about it tonight. We saw Bill Simmons of The Ringer tweeting about hockey tonight. We saw all of the sports aggregator accounts hyping up the fighting and the tensions and the guys caring and how it compared to one of the worst all-star products we have in the NBA's All-Star Weekend. So I want to congratulate the NHL on putting this Four Nations thing together and how much of a hit it is right now. But I also want to criticize the NHL for depriving the public of this for the last 9 years. The NHL hasn't allowed NHL players to go to international tournaments, aka the Olympics, the one we all want to watch, or hasn't hosted their own since 2016, where they hosted the World Cup of Hockey. And before that, they had the NHL players at the Olympics in Sochi in 2014. So it's been since 2016 since we've had best on best. And look what we have now. People love this. We all love this. Casual fans care. Hardcore fans care. Everybody cares about best on best hockey. And the NHL waited 9 years in between hosting one of these and now. And it is such a shame that we haven't had like 5 of these moments of Canada USA on a Saturday night since that moment in 2016. Like it's a real shame that we haven't seen McDavid in a Team Canada uniform before this. It's a shame we haven't had Austin versus Mitch before this. It's a shame we haven't seen Matthew Tkachuk and his brother on the same line with Eichel in the middle before this. We should have had this a long time ago, and the NHL continually messes these things up, but thankfully they've corrected it now. And hopefully the next steps that grow the game don't take so long to implement, and we don't wait 9 years for things like this to happen. The NHL has committed to having this on the calendar every other year. It's going to be Olympics, it's going to be World Cup, it's going to be Olympics, it's going to be World Cup. They're going to keep doing this in the All-Star break area of the season, of the schedule. Next year is going to be the Olympics. It's going to be fantastic stuff. And I wish they made this decision a lot earlier. I'm glad that we're here now. The best time to plant a tree was 100 years ago, but the next best time is right now. So I'm glad that the NHL is doing it. And it's pretty cool to see the NHL have the better entertainment product in comparison to every other sport that's on that night, and see the entire sports world gravitate to the NHL. So that's it for me right now. As I mentioned, go watch Steve Dango's recap of the actual on-ice product for tonight's game on his YouTube channel. That is it for me right now. Thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be watching or listening right now, and I appreciate you for that. Hit like if you're watching this on the Jesse Blake Sports Report channel. Hit subscribe as well, or if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, give it 5 stars in the ratings area on whatever app you're listening to. That is it. Good night from Toronto.
That is how it's done.
The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
Jesse Blake, the guy that likes to hear his name twice in one sentence. Sure, I know him. No, he doesn't have an ego at all.